Hi, I'm here to demonstrate that the F-15C can be landed properly. Go ahead and enter a brake at about 1,500 feet here. I actually don't know the altitudes and airspeeds the Air Force would use for a brake, but I'll just do something workable here. One thing I found with the F-15 is that the pitch trim compensator um, of the F-15's control augmentation system seems to be strangely modeled. A little bit uncomfortable with the way that works. Not entirely sure that that's accurate, but I don't fly the F-15, so what can I say? And one thing worth noting, if this is correctly modeled, the aircraft's handling characteristics will change significantly when it's flown with the gear down. So I'll go ahead and drop the gear now. And the flaps. And the pitch response should change measurably. With the gear and flaps down, the pitch trim compensator changes its operation. I'll go ahead and slowly start decelerating here. I'm probably looking for an on-speed of around 160 knots. I believe we're looking for probably around a 10 to 12 degree angle attack. I actually don't know what the correct value is for the F-15. This is certainly a very wide pattern that I'm not used to flying, so I apologize for the sloppy altitude control there. Go ahead and start decelerating here as I finish this turn on to final. A little overshot of the center line there. And I'll go ahead and cancel out my descent here as I reach 3-degree glide slope as evidenced by the pitch ladder. Bring the velocity vector up onto the runway center line there. And I'll just start walking the throttle out to idle here and starting a nice round out into a flare. Holding it off. There's the wheel touchdown. I'm going to keep the pitch attitude at about 10 degrees as we run down the runway here for the purpose of aero braking. And once the speed starts to reach around 100 knots, I'll get on the brakes, which it's really not doing. Some people have complained that this thing handles like ice on the ground. I don't necessarily see that as the case, but the deceleration seems to be awfully slow, even with good aero braking. But I found that if you use your wheel brakes effectively, it's not that bad. So there you go. Hopefully that demonstrates that this sucker can be landed. If I just keep accelerating with basically hands-free, the airplane has some slight pitch transients there like this, where it's pitching up, but for the most part it seems to handle all of this pretty well. Here we come up to transonic speeds now. There's the barrier and nothing. It's really handling quite nicely. I could probably blame this slight pitch increase on my stick alone. So that's pretty nice. But the thing that I found that bothers me is that it seems to be that whatever pitch trim compensation has been written for this aircraft, it does appear to have susceptibility to wind up, wherein if the aircraft is maneuvered aggressively, especially under sustained G, the system will start to build up a pitch force, and then when I release the stick to neutral, it'll stay that way. There it is. So I've done nothing but start a nice kind of a long turn there, and then suddenly the aircraft will pitch down with a ridiculous amount of force. Once I kind of bring the airplane back up to 1G flight for a while and hold it there, it'll stay in 1G flight. Now, I don't fully know if that is a realistic or unrealistic characteristic of the F-15. I do know that the F-15 uses what's called series trim, so it does kind of compensate for incorrect trim state based on the amount of error already perceived. So it may not be able to keep up with the trim error buildup 100%. So it might just naturally wind up like that, and that could be how the actual aircraft functions. But I would be slightly concerned that that's a mistake in the coding of the flight model. So I'd like to hear some more about that, especially if the person who wrote the flight model can come forward and describe whether or not that's an accurate behavior. That would really be nice to see. one more landing here just to, I guess, demonstrate again that it's totally possible to fly this thing and land it with reasonable accuracy. Love that Ferris scheme. And pop the brakes so I can keep some throttle in here. I really haven't been watching my speed at all. Throttle's at idle. Some might say I should get my ass on the center line. I'll intentionally make some adjustments to my lineup here as I roll, just to prove that it's totally possible to handle this thing on the ground. And then I'll start my braking at a high speed there. Maybe let the nose wander around a little bit as I step around left and right on my toe brakes. If you don't just plant the brakes on, you can pretty easily keep control of this thing. There's a little skid noise. I'm not sure that that actually was coinciding with a skid, but it made the sound. Looks like it was the nose wheel. Anyway,